All right. There's that. And you're good to go.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trash Pandas. I'm Lindsay, and this is my most loveliest co-host,
Lauren. Hi.
and we are here to bring you everything that's trashy and trending. This week, were you checking out anything spectacular?
So obviously we always watch like Love After Lockup and everything, but I want to wait to do anything about that until we get more into like the character development of them, because their significant others just got released and they're being reunited, but nothing has really happened yet. So we'll wait on that. But I also been watching the new season of Married at First Sight. And if you guys don't know what it is, it's like strangers are picked to get married the first time that they meet each other. They have an entire wedding, and it's just like a shit show after that. They get like a honeymoon, they have to move in with each other, and it's like 2 months, and then at the very end, they decide whether or not they want to stay married or get divorced, which we'll probably talk about that too in future episodes. But again, it's one of those shows where like the first couple of episodes are just them like meeting each other and like getting married, and it's nothing really spectacular because they're all on their best behavior.
Yeah.
But no, other than that, I haven't really been watching much.
So I had some friends from Chicago come visit over the weekend, and since it was raining here pretty much all day on Saturday, we watched this movie on Hulu called Palm Springs, and it was like a specific Hulu movie. You know how like Netflix makes their own movies now, like so Hulu's doing the same thing, and it's a Hulu movie, and it's with Andy Samberg and this female actress who I've never seen, but she was excellent in it, and her name is Kristen Milioti.
Okay, was it like her first time being like a film or something?
I don't know. I know nothing
just
about
that you haven't
her.
Seen her
I've
before.
just have never seen her before, so she may have been from something, and I didn't do my research on her at all. But so the premise of the movie is Andy Samberg, they're at this wedding in Palm Springs. He's there with his girlfriend, who's not Kristen Milioti, and he is kind of having like Groundhog's Day. So every day he wakes up, it's the exact same day. Like the wedding is the same. Like they're in Palm Springs there for his girlfriend's friend's wedding. And so he's experiencing the same day over and over and over again. And when you watch, you'll see Kristen Milioti is the bride's sister in it. So she's one of the bridesmaids, and she ends up like hooking up with Andy Samberg one night and ends up following him to this place, and then by circumstances she ends up also being stuck in like the same like Groundhog's Day with him. And
so they're both experiencing it together.
Yes. And so it's so good. It's weird. It's like it's got like that kind of like sci-fi weird element to it, like kind of like Donnie Darko with like alternate universes or whatever. And Andy Samberg's character kind of like accepts the fact like this is what my life is now. But she's like pissed off, and like she wants to figure out like how do we get out of this. And it's really good, and it got an excellent rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And I just thought it was like kind of lighthearted. There were definitely some darker, deeper moments to it, but like for the most part, pretty lighthearted, pretty fun. It was cute. I liked it. It ends really cute. I just would highly recommend anyone going to check it out if you're bored and you have nothing new to watch.
What was it called again?
It's called Palm Springs.
Palm Springs.
Because that's where they're stuck. They're stuck in Palm Springs.
I'm going to have to like make like a list online for
like
us
a recommendation.
All of our recommendations and stuff, so people can go back and watch them again.
Yeah, I really liked it. And then the other movie that I made them watch that I've seen a couple of times was Get Out, but they've never seen it before. So I was like, you guys have to check out Get Out. Like, if you have not seen Get Out, where have you been? It's so good. It's so good. You've seen it, right?
Nope.
We know what we're watching later.
I know. I actually went to go see it, and then I don't remember what happened, but we ended up having to leave before it even like got into the story. So I've seen like the first like couple of minutes of it, and then
I mean, Oscar nominated. It's fantastic. If you have not seen Get Out, I don't know what you're doing here. Go watch it.
oh my God.
I know. No, stay tuned. I mean, just kidding. We're talking about trash.
I'm like, oh no.
Don't go
She
watch
said you
this-
don't belong here,
don't
and I'm
go
like
watch
on
this-
the show.
Don't go watch this amazing piece of art.
Damn, dude.
Just listen
Straight
to the
dunking on
trash.
me.
I know, right? No, but Get Out is so good. It's so complex, and there's just so many. Every time I watch it, I pick up on. It's one of those movies that you pick up on something new every time you watch it. Like, there's so much symbolism and just all this other crazy stuff happening. And what I really like about it is Jordan Peele, the director. I love Jordan Peele. If you guys watch Key and Peele, Jordan Peele has talked extensively about why he includes the symbolism in there. So if you're one of those people, like an English major like I am, and you're like, I wonder what he meant by that, like, there's interviews where he talks about it. So you can go see exactly what he meant by that, or exactly why he included that specific part in the film.
Didn't he make another film too?
He made Us,
Okay.
which is another like horror film. I actually have not seen that one, and the only reason I haven't been super keen on seeing it, or it hasn't been at like the top of my list of things to see, is because it didn't get great reviews.
Yeah.
And I'm a reviews person, and maybe I shouldn't be, because
I do judge a book by its cover
I
too.
know. And like, and there are definitely some films that I'm like, the critics got this wrong. Like, it's really good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hard once all that negative stuff is out there about it to like overcome it and then be like, especially like when we live in a world where there's so much media, there's so much to choose from, there's so many great shows out there, like, to make time for a movie that has been deemed like
Just
subpar, like, it's like, okay, like,
well, also, like, I feel like people write reviews about almost anything, like, and more people want to write reviews when they hate something than there
Yeah.
are that people that are like, this is actually really good. So
yeah,
I
that's
don't know.
true.
I'm
mean,
like, I do like kind of like when I'm choosing shows and stuff and I'm like scrolling, I like totally judge a book by its cover. I don't even like read the thing unless like it strikes me off the bat. So I'm like guilty of just kind of being like whatever.
oh yeah, I am too, and I have to be in like a very specific mood for things. Like, I have to be in a mood to watch a horror movie. I have to be,
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Sometimes I just want to zone out into 90 Day Fiance.
Yeah, it's like I'm also, sitting on my phone a lot too. So it's like I'm playing a game or I'm texting with my boyfriend or I'm, talking to Lindsay or something like that. And it's like, or I'm even Amazon shopping, putting a million things in my cart and not buying them. It's like, that's what I do. And so sometimes I want to watch something that it's like, I don't want to have to really pay attention, or like I'll watch things I've seen a million times for the same reason. Like, I just want it on the background.
Like, that's why I watch Friends on repeat.
That's Bob's Burgers on repeat
But
all the time.
I will say, like, for a movie like Get Out, you want to pay attention because there's so many of those like little like Easter eggs that, like hidden within the movie.
That's why I like going to movie theaters.
I know.
And because like I have to pay attention.
I know. And you know what I really love in the summer is drive-in movie theaters.
I love drive-in movie theaters.
The best. And those are open, right? Like,
yeah, the Ford in Wyoming is open.
That's actually something we could go.
We should do
go
that. And they do like late night showings and double features.
Yeah. The last time I was there, I saw Spencer and I went to go see Midsummer. Do you remember like all the hype around that movie about it being, don't watch Midsummer? I am telling you right now, it is stupid. But I will say the only cool thing about that movie is like the direction and like the cinematography is like beautiful. Like it really is a beautiful film to watch, but like
The premise
the
itself.
premise itself is so, it's whack.
It's whack.
I didn't want to say it, and
You
then
said it's a
and
whack.
then it just came out. It came out. I just had to say it. It's whack.
It's whack as fuck.
It's whack as fuck.
Let's
So-
get into 90 Day.
Okay. Happily ever after. Larissa and Eriki, they open 90 Day. We're seeing like Larissa had just gotten off the phone with this girl Natalie who was talking to Eric after they broke up, and Larissa finds out that Eric had been basically talking all this trash about Larissa and talking about her character and talking about like their sex
Sexual.
life and all of this. And so this 90 Day opens up and she's like, Natalie, I have to hang up. Eric's home. So Eric walks in and immediately it's like explosive, and Larissa just calls them out or calls him out on his stuff, and they fight. And she, for some reason, says, "My face is $10,000. $10,000, bitch."
I want to know where that even came from, because I watched it twice just to be like, where did that
Why
comment
did
come
she
from?
say that?
I have no clue. Like, we must have missed something, or maybe I just missed something. But I was like, why?
My face is
Is she saying my face is $10,000? Or yeah, she's like, bitch, my face is $10,000. I'm like, what are you talking
I
about?
don't know.
So that was really weird. And then yeah, like he kind of like steps up in her face and stuff, and he's like, "Where are you at, girl? Where are you at? You're in my house." And she's like, "Oh, are you gonna call the police?" And when she said that, I was like, "Do you want him to? Like, why are you giving him the idea to even do that?
Right.
Like, maybe just be like, get out of my face, instead
Right.
of being like, are you gonna call the police? Like, you're antagonizing him to do something like that, and
Yeah.
you know you're gonna get deported, girl. So come on."
And so I guess Eric's thing is, you know, we decided to get back together and we decided to leave the past in the past. So why are you bringing this all up again? Like that happened when we weren't together.
And I agree that she shouldn't be bringing it up again, because it's done. It's over with. If you're going to like get back together and like agree that that's just over, then like be done with it.
I agree, but also I can see why that would make you mad.
It would, well, yeah, it would make me mad too, but it's
It would
like,
make me really mad.
but she went digging for it. It wasn't like this
Yeah.
girl contacted her and said,
No,
hey, this motherfucker's been
she
talking
went
about
through
you.
his phone.
Exactly.
She went looking for it.
So I'm like, if you go looking, you're gonna find. And even if you can take something and like completely warp it to match like your narrative of what you think is
Yeah.
happening, you're gonna be able to find something if you try to.
Yeah, don't go looking for things if you don't
No.
want to really know.
I would never like go through my boyfriend's phone.
Hell no.
I would never be like, I'm gonna like sift through your stuff. Like,
yeah, but
you should trust somebody that you're
right,
with.
right. And like, if she wants a clean slate, why are you looking through his phone?
Right.
You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. So they get in this fight, and he's like, "Look at you! You're like Dolly Parton walking around in this robe." And I was like, Dolly Parton is a saint. She doesn't wear robes.
Dolly Parton is an American treasure, and you do not fuck with her.
And she doesn't wear robes. Like, when is Dolly Parton in a robe? What was he even talking about?
Unless it was the most fantastic robe in the world.
The most magical robe. You
For
mean
real.
like her queen robe?
Like, first of all, if somebody said you look like Dolly Parton, I'd be like,
thank you.
thanks. Like, awesome. I'm okay with that.
Right. Like, what? Don't use Dolly Parton as some kind of insult. Not gonna happen. Not cool, Eric. Not cool. But he's also this huge like hand talker.
Oh yeah, he does kind of like,
he like makes so many gestures with
I
his
feel like he's throwing a
hands in his
rave
video.
while he's talking.
He's like Madonna Vogue video while talking. I was almost like, does he know American Sign Language? And is he
Right,
just,
it almost seems like that.
Because it was that animated where I was like, is he signing for like a deaf audience? Like, that's kind of cool. Like, it was that animated where I was like,
yeah, but then it wasn't though.
but that it wasn't.
It was just him being crazy.
It was him being
Eventually,
a buzz
Larissa just like leaves and she goes to her friend's house to like talk about it.
She goes to Carmen's house, who's the girl who just threw her out of her house for talking to Eric. And she
Right.
goes to her house and basically explains, like, they had this huge fight, and Carmen's like, I knew this was going to happen. She was like, I didn't think it was going to happen this soon, but I knew this was going to happen. And then she gets a phone call from his roommate because Larissa had taken Eric's phone because Larissa was like, well, that's the phone that I gave him. So I'm going to take this phone back because he's not going to be using this phone to talk crap about me. So I'm going to take it. And the roommate was basically like, that's theft. You gifted him this phone.
And he has probable cause.
Right. And do you want to end up back in jail? Because you're just giving him ammo to like end up back in jail. And that's basically where their stuff ended.
Yeah.
It wasn't
the thing is, to me, that I'm like, if she didn't want him to call the police, then why would she say something like that? And then also, as soon as she gets on the phone with him and they start saying like he has probable cause and like all this stuff, it's like, all right, now you guys are both throwing around calling the police on this woman who's like just trying to fucking like openly stay in America.
I mean, the one thing that like I have to say that I don't like about a lot of these relationships on 90 Day is they use that as like something to hover over the other person's head. Like, you better act the way I want you to, or I'm going to call the police.
Right.
And then your immigration status
you're going to be deported.
Right. And then you're going to be deported.
Or I'm going to like, and vice versa.
And I'm like,
I'm gonna leave.
that is such a fucked up dynamic.
I completely
to
agree.
have and to hold over somebody's head. It's just, it's not good. It's not, I don't like it. Okay. Andre and Libby. So, they are sitting at a kitchen table eating food from the night before, and they're talking about like what had happened the previous night.
Gelatin pork.
Yeah,
they're eating gelatin pork.
Libby's like, what is this? And he's like, I don't know, Lib, it's food. And she's like, well, what is it? And he's like, I don't know, it's like gelatin with chicken or pork.
Her face was not good when she ate that. It didn't look like it was delicious. But
Gelatin
he's taking like
meat.
giant spoonfuls. I'm sure because he's used to it and he likes it or whatever. But it's literally like clear Jell-O, and there's like carrots
and meat
inside of it. I don't know what kind of Jell-O it is. Is it like unflavored
You
Jell-O?
know what it reminds me of? Have you ever seen like those vintage cookbooks from the 70s?
Like bologna Jell-O.
Yes, it reminds me of like a vintage
it's like
70s
mayo
recipe.
Dollops on top of it with like relish.
Like a maraschino
God.
cherry on top for
Gross,
color.
dude.
I can't.
I can't.
I'm gonna throw up just thinking about it. Okay, so they're talking, and he's basically calling her out for being wishy-washy in front of her family. He's like, you know, you say one thing to me behind closed doors about how you're okay with me staying at home, but then in front of your family, you act like you're not okay with it. And I hate to say that I'm on Andre's side about this, because I don't like Andre, but I'm on his side about that.
I literally wrote down, despite being a jerk, Andre be right sometimes.
I mean, he is, because it's like, Lib, like, this is a conversation you have with your husband in private. You don't drop the bombshell on him that you're not okay with him staying at home when all this time you were telling him you're okay with him staying at home.
Right. You're kind of flipping the script last minute in front of his family, making it seem like
to make him look bad in front of his
lazy
family and in front of your family. And so she says her problem is that she feels like he's getting too comfortable staying at home, and he's like kind of turned into this homebody, and you know, that's not the man I married. And I'm like, Okay, again, just wrong place, wrong time. Just don't. This doesn't have to be a conversation.
Right.
From
Why
the whole
is this
family.
something that we're doing right now
And,
in front of
and
his
basically
family?
he says that, and she's like, well, what do you want me to do? Lie to my family? I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
White lie. Yes. In front of your family. This is a conversation that you have behind closed doors. Or even if, okay, I signed up for 90 Day Fiance and I'm supposed to air all of my dirty laundry out there. This is still a conversation you can have in private with the cameras and your husband, where
Right.
it's like the whole family doesn't have to be involved in this conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like she's always the person, once again, we said this last week, she plays the fence and she plays to like whoever she wants. Like whatever.
Right. Whatever will keep her out of the most trouble.
Right. Like
in the
she
time.
deflects. You know what? I'm going to keep any pressure off of me and I'm going to put it on my husband, or I'm going to keep any pressure off me. I'm going to put it on my dad. And I just think it's bullshit. Like, own up to your shit. And
basically Libby's a bitch and Andre's a douche, and they both need to just like get their shit together and decide whether or not they're going to stay together, because I really don't see them staying together long term.
Actually, see, I think they're going to, because I think that she is just going to keep like playing the fence.
Yeah,
and she's
just
just
kind of like a pushover.
right, and she's just going to keep like doing this in between BS.
That's
and
true.
I don't know if it'll be up to Andre to get sick of it.
Yeah.
And then Andre will be like,
well,
I'm
she's not
going
to leave. I don't think
she's
would
not
leave.
gonna leave.
No, I think that he would leave though.
And then so it ends. So their whole part ends. They're out to dinner with his entire family and some of his friends, and her brother and her dad are there, and they're all drinking and having a good time. And Libby's brother Charlie starts like pressing into Andre again about his past and asking him like, oh, well, were you a troublemaker when you were younger? And oh, why'd you leave to go to Ireland? And why did you do all this stuff? And Andre's pretty much like, mind your business. Like, why are you interrogating me right now? And Libby, once again, plays in between, and she's like,
I'm just gonna eat my food.
I'm just gonna eat my food. I don't want to be in between all this. And then she says something along the lines of like, well, he's in Moldova, so what else do you expect him to talk about? And I was like, well, I can think of a million other things for him to talk about.
Right.
Hey,
you're a tourist.
Andre's family, what do you think we should check out while we're in Moldova? Hey, Andre's family, what are some wedding traditions that you have in Moldova?
There's a million things you can think of.
Do you need me to seriously like send you over with index cards of questions to ask his family that are appropriate? Like, you don't have to be digging into this guy's past. And the other thing that I just don't understand with that is, you're already married. They're already married.
Right.
They're
so why is his family
married.
just now deciding that they want to like figure out all this information about Andre? But it's like, I get it, because like they're in front of his family so they can get some of the answers that Andre is like keeping behind. But at the same time, like, now is not the time. Now is not the place. They're already married. You guys are getting married again.
Right.
Just like go there, have a good time, enjoy Moldova, enjoy his family, enjoy the culture, and go home and talk about it later.
Or pull his brother aside at the wedding when you guys are both drunk.
Right.
Have buy him a shot, do a shot with him, and then be like, hey, what's your brother's story?
But Andre is like openly like anti-Libby's family, which is like kind of weird to me, because I'm just like,
it's not weird if you think about it, because they've always been against him. They've always been interrogating him. They've always been.
But I guess like other couples have just like, they keep on trying to like win the family over rather than like being like, well, fuck you guys, you know?
I mean, Peter and Chantel.
Exactly. But look at their relationship.
It's a mess.
It's a mess.
But so that scene ends with basically Charlie and Andre getting up, and they're about to get in a fisticuffs.
Yeah, they literally are about to fight each other.
And Libby's like, stop it, sit down, stop it. She's the worst. Okay. Azuelo and Kalani.
Okay. Well, it kind of starts off with them like going to a Samoan shop. they're getting ready to go see Oswaldo's family over in Washington. And so they had talked about, his mom had in the previous episode talked about wanting him to bring $1,000 for her. And so Kalani is like, let's bring some gifts. And then in lieu of money, we'll bring gifts, or we can do, you know, like $50 and some gifts. And when she brings this up to Oswaldo, he is kind of upset about that because he mentions that with his family, he wants to give them the money because he feels like it'll make them closer like her family is. And that's concerning because obviously, like, for her, she's like, that's not how you win love. But also in their culture, it's customary for him to like take care of his family. So I was kind of like, I'm like on his side and on her side. I think that he wants entirely too much money. I think that he's
$1,000
is no joke. But at the same time, it's like there are some cultural things that I can get down with, like being like, okay, you bring gifts, or like when you come around, you like make sure that your family is set up and stuff. I'm not really into the whole sending money back thing, though.
I feel like I would understand it more if his mom was in Samoa.
Sure.
But she's in Washington.
But she's visiting, though, is what he said.
Is she?
Yeah, she was like, she's visiting his sister. And that's why he wanted to go, because he was like, my mom is in town.
Oh, okay.
So I want to see my sisters and my mom.
Okay.
So like
that makes more sense.
Yeah,
so
that's like the reason why.
Back to
exactly. That's the reason why I like went with it. Because if she was just living in America, I'd be like, no, like that's stupid. But she does still live over there. So.
But you also, I mean, I feel like they're just being totally ignorant to the fact that they're a young couple just getting started. They have 2 children. Oswaldo has like a part-time minimum wage job.
There is no way that he could bring $1,000 there, and even $100.
He didn't even have $50 to spend at the store.
Okay, and that's the thing though, is that they spend like almost $200 at the store.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite scenes is he sees like corned beef hash, and he's like, "This is something that we eat." And he picks up like 6 cans, and then he sees a big can of it, and he like picks that up, and he sets it down. He's like, "This one's better because it's bigger, right?" And so instead of just reading how many ounces are on the can, he's like feeling, like trying to weigh it out in his hands. And I'm just like, this kid is like literally.
And Kalani said that big can
was like $48.
$48.
Yeah. $48.
Holy cow.
So he's just walking around the store like completely
taking
disregarding
everything
any
out.
kind of like price tag.
It reminded me of like a child or me when
I want this.
Or me when I go to Target.
Right. And you leave.
And I'm like, I came for
a lipstick, and I left with $400 worth of fucking
toilet paper. And I came out with
everything. Everything.
A shower curtain.
They have Sailor Moon products at Target right now.
What?
Oh yeah, they have shirts, Sailor Moon shirts, and I like went.
They have Friends shirts.
I got you a Friends shirt.
I know you did.
I went there to pick up a Sailor Moon shirt, and I ended up getting her a Friends shirt because they didn't have the Sailor Moon shirt in my size. Oh my god.
And
anyway,
obsessed with Friends. She went to 2 Targets.
I did.
She's a great cousin.
It's like. That's true love.
That's true love.
So yeah, so anyway, like they're, this entire interaction happens between them, and then we're just gonna kind of fast forward to they end up going to visit, and
in
Washington. They've been traveling all day long, and they get to Washington, and they're in the car, and the kids are just screaming bloody murder. And Oswaldo wants to go see his family, but she's like, it's not appropriate for us to go right now. It's past their bedtime.
Right. She's like, it's past their bedtime. They're toddlers. They're having meltdowns.
Right.
Like,
we'll see them in the morning.
Right. Let's just go early in the morning.
And Oswaldo is pissed.
Yeah, he was super mad.
Completely misunderstanding the entire situation.
Or not misunderstanding, but just being a D-bag. Because I feel like he's just a child. Like that, he's just a child. Like he doesn't care.
Yeah, he just is just
a
douche.
I feel for him like he hasn't seen his family in so long, and so he's anxious to see his family. But what, you have 2 children. You and your feelings are now on the back burner. And
Right.
you need to do what your kids need right now, and your kids need bedtime right now. You know, like
Yeah. Or he
put your
could have, even
freaking
like
kids
you
to
said when
bed.
we were watching it, he could have just dropped them off at the guest
Airbnb,
Airbnb and then driven
gone
over
to
and
see
seen
them.
his family.
Right.
you
Like
know,
drop
just
Kalani and the
explain.
kids off, put them to bed, and then leave.
Just
and go
explain to them,
see.
like, the kids
Right.
were going crazy. She had to put them down. She'll be over in the morning. Not a big
Right.
deal. Whatever.
And I'm sure Kalani would have been A-okay with that. Okay. Jess and Colt and Debbie, because they're a throuple.
Yes, they are a throuple.
Okay. So they are leaving, and I feel really bad, but I can't remember what town in Brazil or what city in Brazil they're in, but they're leaving that city. So they go to say goodbye to Jess's family, and Jess's family has like all these gifts for Debbie and Colt and Jess, and it's really nice. You know, Debbie actually looks pretty happy. They got her a pair of flip-flops.
She said that her family was very nice.
Yeah, Debbie was impressed by Jess's family. So Colt then asked to talk to the dad over on the side.
We all know. We all know what's happening.
Colt asks her dad if he can marry Jess, and Colt's dad says yes. And I just can't with it. Like, you've known this girl for 2 months. You saw how she treated your mother.
You did this with Larissa.
You did this with Larissa. I mean, it's just like, part of me is like, you're an idiot. And then the other part of me is like, are you doing this for TLC?
Right.
You know?
I feel like he's just so desperate to like have like a girlfriend or a wife or whatever that he's just like, I'll marry anybody within 2 months.
Right, but he
Jesus.
just overlooks all of these red flags anyway. So her dad says yes. He's an idiot. Okay. So then they travel to Sao Paulo. Because they're going to meet up with some of Jess's friends. They're going to go out and hang out a few days in Sao Paulo. And they got 2 separate rooms. Good on Colt for not being a cheapo. So Debbie's in one room, and we see her, and she's FaceTiming Vanessa, who is the girl that Colt is friends with. She's friends with. Her and Colt slept together one time, and she's kind of the girl that Jess is threatened by. Doesn't want Colt talking to this girl, basically.
Right.
Like,
they're too close of friends.
Yeah, they're too close of friends. So Debbie's FaceTiming Vanessa because Vanessa's watching their cats. And she's like, how are the cats? And blah, blah, blah. And then they start talking about Colt, and she tells them, I think that Colt asked for Jess's hand in marriage, and Vanessa's like, that's crazy, you can't do this, blah blah blah. And anyway, so Colt and Jess come to Debbie's hotel room, and they're like, hey, we're going out, you should go out with us. And Debbie's like, maybe, I don't know. And Jess is like, no, Debbie, you should really come out with us. And then Debbie's like, I just talked to Vanessa, and she said the cats are doing really good. And you can just see Jess's face.
Pushing buttons, Debbie.
Yeah, Jess's face just like turns to anger.
She's like, what?
She's like, what?
Wait, what?
And Debbie's like, Vanessa's watching our cats, and I just talked to her, and the cats are doing good. And Colt's like, yeah, Vanessa's watching the cats. And she's like, what? Like, she starts going nutso because she thinks that Vanessa wants more with Colt, and
she has every right to like think that if they've slept together before. I would be like weirded out a little bit.
Absolutely, I would be
if I don't know her
too. And then Debbie is like trying to play the innocent card, and she's like, she's my friend, I asked her to watch the cats. And then segue over into like the private interview room, and the producer's like, did you asking Debbie, the producer's like, did you purposely bring up Vanessa in front of Jess to make her mad? And Debbie's like,
basically just smiles.
like evil little smirk on her face. She knew exactly what she was doing.
Right.
She was trying to sabotage their night, and I think she may have succeeded. We will see next
Absolutely.
week. Okay.
Last
Last but not least,
Paul and Karina.
no,
No.
we have 3 more. Oh my
shit.
gosh.
Yeah, we got to speed up.
Paul and Karina, really easy.
So he meets his mom at a pet bistro kind of place. And, you know,
Bistro.
that's like the name of the place I go to is Pet Bistro. Sorry.
It's a
Pet supplies place. Pet Bistro is the place I get my dog food.
Pet Bistro makes me think that there are like dogs sitting on the patio with like berets and like little mugs with espresso, smoking cigarettes. That's
Judging everybody.
That's a Pet Bistro.
Okay, so the place I get my dog food is called Pet Bistro, so that's what I thought of. Pet Supplies Plus kind of area.
Plug for Pet Bistro.
For local.
Lots of French dogs judging the shit out of you with cigarettes.
So his mom meets him there, and he like nonchalant is just like, oh yeah, I need to get all this stuff for my dog. And the mom's just like, did you bring me here to buy stuff for your dog? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna need some help. Which like, what the fuck? We already knew that was
like
gonna happen.
you can't feed your dogs. How are you feeding your child and your wife and buying everything that they need?
Long
because
story
she
short,
can't work.
Long story short, his mom basically calls him a deadbeat, and basically Paul is just like, Karini is like sad and unhappy with life, and his mom is like, well, duh, you know. So that's basically the long and short.
Mother
of it,
Paul is not having any of Paul's shit.
No, and she's like, we've been through a lot. We've been together through thick and thin. I'm like, been together through thick. You're literally his mother. Like, you have no choice. You guys are stuck together forever. It doesn't matter what happens.
She can cut him off, but I think she's like trying to make.
She's always gonna be his mom,
right? But I think she's trying to make Paul like. She's like, he needs to grow up, and I'm like, but she's almost 40.
Yeah.
He's almost 40 and you're buying him dog food. Like, I understand if you fall on hard times, like if you're like laid off or whatever, but like you literally made the choice to go to Brazil and do all this and then come back and you don't have a job.
Right.
Anyways, enough with Paul. I can't stand him. Tanya and Sinjin.
Leaving for South Africa. She nags him about his drinking constantly.
Tea scene.
The tea. Oh my God. Literally, she's drinking tea. She's like, let me finish our tea before I go. And it's just like 20 minutes of her going.
She's like, just,
it feels so good.
It's the most annoying thing I've seen in my life. I wanted to throw a glass at my TV.
She's the worst.
She is the worst.
She's the worst.
So, and then she also says, because she was talking about how like they've been arguing, and she was like, I don't like the word arguing. We just have conversations that we get a little heated about. I'm like, Tanya, shut up.
You're arguing.
You're
just
arguing.
Say that you argue.
That's
okay.
That's literally the definition of arguing.
Relationships. People argue with each other.
Right.
It's all right.
So they arrive in South Africa, and basically Sinjin's mom because this is the first time we see Sinjin's family. And Sinjin's mom was basically just saying how she was shocked at how fast that they got married. And she was talking about how like strong-willed she thinks Tanya is. And she doesn't seem completely supportive about their marriage. So I have a feeling that's heating up to.
That's going to be something.
Yeah, some kind of argument.
All of these couples that are like not really like having much going on, it's like, we know that there's going to be a lot going on soon, because otherwise why would they have them on there?
Did we talk about Angela and Michael yet?
No.
Okay, real quick. Okay, real quick. Angela and Michael, they are at like a monkey sanctuary, and Angela's terrified of the monkeys. And it is so funny. Like, go watch it. It's really, really funny. She's like, they're hateful. She's screaming at these monkeys, and it's ridiculous. But anyways, so she tells Michael finally about her cancer scare, the fact that she had to have a biopsy. They sit down, they talk to her doctor. Her doctor basically says, you're super healthy, like your cholesterol, everything's came back fine. Super normal, and you're fine. But if you were to get pregnant through like a or like in vitro or whatever way they're planning on doing it, the doctor was like, you are at high risk because
Well,
because of your age,
exactly.
you're gonna be susceptible or like,
and she's a
more
smoker,
prone to things like diabetes and, you know, low birth weight and all that stuff. So anyways, there's that. So Michael basically has to make a choice because he is younger and he does really want a baby, and that is really important to him. And so she basically asks him, is this something you can deal with, the fact that I might not be able to carry a baby for you?
which is totally an acceptable thing to ask. But I did make a note that like almost every episode she's questioning whether or not they should get married. And I'm like, if that's the case, if you have to constantly question like that,
Yeah.
I feel like maybe it's just not something you should do.
I feel like they really do love each other.
They do,
and I
absolutely.
don't doubt
But I
that
think she's
anymore.
like
but I
second,
do,
third, fourth, and fifth guessing it.
yeah, absolutely.
You know?
But I also think that like it's very fair to take into consideration the fact that he wants children.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I said
Yeah.
it's like this is 100% something that I think that she should.
This is valid.
She should be
this
asking
is a
him
valid.
about. But I
Yeah.
feel like the whole like constantly being like, should we get married thing is like,
Yeah, it's old.
it's getting old.
Yeah. Okay, so before the 90 days.
Before the 90 days.
Ari and Binyam.
All right.
So they go to meet Binyam's sister and brother at like a local cafe, and the mom is just kind of like grilling them about cultural norms, asking about like gender differences, and she's like, well, you know, when Ari has the baby, what is a man in Ethiopia expected to do when children are born? And they basically say, well, a man goes out and works and a woman takes care of the children. And she's like, that's just not acceptable. And I'm like,
Well,
really?
We're kind of in Ethiopia, not in America.
Right.
Now.
And the gender norms are different. And if this is something that they've agreed upon, and I can't imagine that they haven't talked about it yet, Ari's not a stupid girl. You know, maybe this is something your daughter is okay with. Whatever. So later that night, they go to see Binyam perform because he's a dancer at a club. And he is there performing with what we find out is his dance partner is his ex-girlfriend.
They have pretty intimate dancing too. There's like one scene where
he's like playing the bongos on her butt.
Ass. She's like in the spread eagle, upside down, you know, upside down Kate. And he is just playing on her ass and then like slaps her ass one last time at the very end. And meanwhile, Mom is sitting there with Ari just like straight dunking on this guy like constantly. So a couple of excerpts of things that she says is that as soon as they come outside, as soon as they get into the nightclub, Mom is asking plenty of questions about, you know, like how much money can you make working at a place like this? How often does he have to work here? You know, like, is he going to be home late every night?
And Ari kind of shuts her down and is like, why don't you ask him that?
So then she says, when they come out, she says, oh, his partner is really cute. And Ari is like, Mom, you're supposed to be on my side. She's like, oh, I am on your side. And then she, of course, has to make the extra comments of better watch out, especially when he's dancing with her and you're home alone at night. And she says, oh, that girl is very flexible. And then later on even says, I see chemistry between him and his dance partner. I think it's a great match.
Yeah, so she's planting all of these seeds in Ari's head that aren't necessarily fair. No. Or it's not like the right thing to do, because she has no reason at this point not to trust right. him. And it seems like she trusts him implicitly.
Well, sure as shit, at the very end, he comes out to hang out with Mom and Ari, and they start talking a little bit about everything. And Mom asks Binyam why he and his ex broke up, who, mind you guys, is also an American. They have a child and has returned to America with a child, and he does not see him. So Mom is genuinely curious, like, what happened. And Binyam goes on and on about how he had to work late, and the ex-girlfriend was very jealous about his job and him not being home all the time and him dancing, and that he came home one time with lipstick on his collar that he says a girl was asking to choose a song and leaned in too close, and he tried to clean it up and it didn't come off. It just seems like a bunch of white lies, a little bit of cover up,
and
you know.
he said, I was telling lies. And Ari and her mom were both immediately like, like, don't tell lies. Like, just tell me the truth. Because if you tell lies and try to cover up, that's going to make you look like you were doing something you shouldn't have been doing. Whereas if you had just told me the truth, yeah, I could get over it.
And mom asks, like, is this like something in the past? And he goes, oh yeah, I grew up. And she turns to her daughter and says, oh, he grew up. Oh, good. So, you know, it's just like constant, like placing that little seed of doubt in her mind.
Yeah.
And I think that that's unfair.
It's super unfair.
But also, these are legitimate questions to ask somebody in this situation.
They are legitimate questions, but like at some point it becomes overbearing and it becomes
exactly
controlling. It's manipulative.
I need you to just chill for a minute.
Yeah, just let me evaluate the situation for myself because I'm a grown adult. I don't need your input on it. Let me live, let me experience this on my own because right now I trust this man. As she should. She doesn't have a reason not to.
She has no reason not to. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you can't judge him solely on his past because who knows what the whole story is.
Exactly.
So it's just not super fair. Jenny and Sumit, super quickly, they meet with Sumit's brother at a restaurant. And they're talking about how that his parents aren't happy with this situation. And Jenny is basically like, well, how do we fix this? Because I'm not going anywhere. And at the end, Sumit's brother encourages them to go see Sumit's parents and sit down with Sumit's parents. So I really hope we get to see Sumit's parents.
I would like to see
that. Oh my gosh, I hope this is something that we see.
I highly doubt it though.
I know.
I really don't think that we will. We'll probably get like a little recap of what happened after they go inside.
Yeah, because who knows if Sumit's parents are
side
ever
note
be
though,
on TV.
His brother Amit is kind of fucking cute. He's kind of really cute, actually.
Pretty cute.
Like I kind of like it.
Kind of like his
just
glasses.
Throw it out there. He's a little bit cute. We don't get to see Kenny and Armando or Yazin and Brittany in this episode, which is kind of disappointing because I really wanted to see Yazin and Brittany, but I feel like their stuff is probably going to come to a head so quickly that they're like, we have to slow it.
What we're showing.
Yes. Which makes me wonder what they're going to do with Kenny and Armando. Like, why? Is it that they don't have a good story? Is it because there's so much shit
I think they're kind of boring. It's because they're so in love.
I know.
Okay, so Cheese Stick and Melissa.
And Pepino.
So
what I have written down is basically that Melissa is still pissed. And Tim is awkwardly and creepily cheerleading Melissa's cooking skills. He's kind of like standing there like, oh, I've been like waiting for this. Like, oh, your food is so good.
But I don't have the style that
nothing
you have
is like being around
cooking.
you. Oh my God, it's just so delicious. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's just.
And she's just like cringeworthy, like not really saying much of anything.
So they go to see Melissa's parents, and Melissa tells him, like, my mom knows that you cheated on me. So this freaks him out, of course. So he's like super nervous about going to meet them. So they go meet. The mom knows, but the dad doesn't.
Right.
And apparently Tim and Melissa's father are really close.
Very close.
They're tight. So the dad doesn't know, mom knows. So they go meet the parents, and
she is like snidely like insinuating the entire time that she's well aware of everything that happened.
I mean, she tells him straight up.
Well, no, I mean like before that, she is just kind of like being very cold.
Tim walks in the door of their house. He says hi to every person and the dog
individually
before he says hi to her mother.
That's true.
So you are avoiding something. You done fucked up. You know, like you're acting like a dog with his tail between his legs.
It's true.
For sure. So anyways, they have dinner together, and the dad asks, you know, why did you choose to move here instead of Melissa going to the United States? And Tim just gives kind of like this roundabout answer. And I feel like Melissa just lets him squirm. Like, I feel like she kind of relishes in the fact that he is uncomfortable. And he's like, well, you know, we had some things we had to figure out as a couple. And so we just decided this was like the best thing, even though it's kind of like a bullshit answer. But the dad seems kind of satisfied by this. So the dad gets up with Melissa's younger sister to go get tequila shots. And so it's just Tim and her mom and Melissa. And Tim tries to apologize basically for his indiscretions. And mom is not having a single minute of it. She is pissed off. She basically says, my image of you is ruined. Your apologies are worthless.
And you're not worthy of my daughter.
And you're not worthy of my daughter. And I don't think you two should be together. And just knowing from what we've seen of Colombian culture and from what Melissa has said about her parents, and even Tim said, basically her mom not approving of this is a death sentence for our relationship.
Right.
So the dad comes back. Sorry, did you want to add?
No, go ahead. Good.
So the dad comes back to the table with tequila shots and he gives this toast. And he's like, he's toasting to things like honor and loyalty and love and all these things. And the camera looks at Melissa's mom and she's literally like rolling her eyes off
Don't
to the
scroll your
side.
eyes at me.
Don't scroll your eyes. She's rolling her eyes off to the side. Like, she's just like, she can't even hide the fact that she knows this is all
She's very disapproving and
hypocrisy and
written all over
she
her.
hates it. And so we're supposed to see next time he tells her dad. So
I'm excited to see that, actually.
That's going to be something because mom is so pissed off.
And dad is so trusting of him that I think he's going to be really
I think he's going to be so disappointed. I feel for her family. Melissa kind of pisses me off.
Me too, actually. I was
like,
going to say.
You brought him here and you set him up basically to be told off by your family.
Yep, that's exactly what I think.
I feel like you didn't bring him here
that is exactly
to have
what I
an
think.
actual relationship.
I think that she brought him here
to get scolded.
Basically to prove a point that, like, yo, you fucked
up
and now I'm pissed off and now I'm
right.
gonna have everyone tell you. And here's the thing is that even like when they were cooking in the very beginning, he's like sitting there crying, telling her like, I'll do anything for you. I want to like prove to you. And I mean, I'm not trying to say that he's the good guy here because he cheated on her and like, fuck that guy. But at the same time, it's like, don't bring someone all the way across the world to have your family scold him and then send him on his way.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like you brought him here under the pretense of you guys were going to try to work
You're going to work it out.
And from everything that you're showing me is you guys are not trying, or you don't want to.
She just brings it up constantly.
She's trying, like just throwing it in his face.
He's been there for 2 days and they've talked about it like 4 times now.
And I get it. Like, I get that you're mad. I understand. But like, you should have just broken it off. Like, if you knew this was something that you were never going to be able to get over, that your family was never going to be able to get over, then just break it off.
Right.
Just move on. Like, just break up. You're done. You'll never be able to trust him again. Your family is going to hate him. What's the point?
Yeah. I completely agree.
Okay.
You want to move on to Ji-hoon and Devin?
Yeah, our last couples.
Okay.
So the last time we saw Ji-hoon and Devin, they were at a restaurant. It was Devin, Ji-hoon, and his parents. And it ended horribly. She took out the translator, or as Molly would say on Pillow Talk, the trans hater. And the translator just messed everything up. Ji-hoon got super frustrated.
And we talked about that last week where he was saying, like, I will never do this again. And the translator is just like, I'm going to do it every time. Like,
So, and he walked off. So we pick up there where he had walked out. And then Devin says she needs to leave. She goes out and eventually has a conversation with Ji-hoon. And she's like, Ji-hoon, I need that money. If you are serious, if you really have that $3,000 that you said you saved somewhere,
I need to see it.
I need to see it
right now.
I need to see it right now.
And okay, so just a really quick segue though, between that, we get to see Ji-hoon's dad and mom talking, and they are not on the same page. Ji-hoon's dad is on Devin's side, and Ji-hoon's mom is on Ji-hoon's side. And they are fighting with each other to the point where she's like, I'm not wrong, get away from me, like just walk away.
But actually, you know what's funny though too is like, I don't even really like, she's supposedly on Ji-hoon's side, but I feel like Ji-hoon is even on his dad's side. Like
Ji-hoon is on Devin's side.
Right,
Ji-hoon is on Devin's side.
Ji-hoon is like, I messed
she
up.
Is on her, like his mom is on
like,
her own side.
She's like, my son did nothing wrong.
Right.
And
I think that she's
why does
like
she
convinced.
why does she want to live in the past? And I'm like, it's not the past. It just
this
happened.
just happened.
This
right.
just happened.
Exactly. She just came to North Korea to like
South
Korea. Oh my God, not North Korea. She just came to South Korea to be with him, and like the entire thing is like blowing up in her face for the second time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's worst about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess so Devin is like, I need this money. And Ji-hoon runs inside to his parents and goes, I need this money right now. And sure as shit, they go ahead and give it to him, but not before his mom is saying, this is like child's play.
Yeah, she's like laughing.
She's saying that she's paying Devin off. And
she's like, why do we have to buy her?
That's not the case.
That's not right.
At all.
And I'm like, you're not buying her. This is money that should have been going to her because they have a child together.
And Devin even says.
And she can't file for child support when he's over in South Korea.
Devin says something that actually like resonated with me because I was like, this was probably the smartest thing she said the entire time, is that it wasn't about him giving her the money. It was about proving that he wasn't lying.
Yeah.
Because he has such a history of just constantly lying to her that, you know, he really needed to do that. And as soon as he gives her the money, he comes over and goes, baby, and like hands the money to her. As soon as she gets the money, she like puts it aside.
She just sets it down. She doesn't care
about the money. It's just about making sure that he actually has it.
Right.
And so eventually they meet up the next day to talk again, and Ji-hoon asks for forgiveness, asks for one more shot, and she basically just makes a list of commandments, a list of demands and commandments.
That's the name of this episode. List of
demands. So a list of demands saying that she wants him to have his own bank account that he has with her.
No, a joint bank account.
Right, but with
and
her.
He was like, yes, I will
parents.
have my own bank account. And she's like, no, and my name's gonna be on it. Yeah.
And then she says that if nothing has changed in 1 month, she's going home either way. One thing that I will say that I really love about Ji-hoon and Devin is that she's super patient with him, like communicating. She doesn't raise her voice. She talks very slowly. She has no problem repeating herself because she understands that there's a huge language barrier there. And I feel like they have pretty good communication skills when it comes to like talking in person.
They communicate much better on their own with no translator.
No one else, no translator, exactly.
Than with that little stupid translator.
So I will say, like, I think she's a really good mother. We've seen her interacting with her kids a few times. I think she's a great mother. I think that she's a good partner to Ji-hoon, but he needs to get his shit together because he's going to lose a good girl. And as much as I hate saying that because I was like not Team Devin for a long time, but I am Team Devin now.
But I totally understand her frustration. Like, and I would be, I don't even know if I would have the patience with him that she had.
That's why I said that she's so good with him, because I don't know that I would be
and
able
not
to
even
do
just
that.
about the language barrier, but just about the fact of, you need to send me money. I'm raising your child.
Right.
I need diapers. I need clothes. I need baby what,
formula, whatever it is.
It's expensive to have a baby.
It's a fucking
and you're
baby.
not helping me at all. So yeah, she's been way more than patient with him. And I feel like giving him even another month and a second chance is very gracious of her.
I agree.
Because I might have just jumped on the
I
plane
would have walked out.
and been like, I'm done.
As soon as I found out, I would have walked out, because I mean, this is literally her second time picking up her life and coming there. So.
And June's mom keeps saying things like, well, why does he have to prove he loves her? He loves her. And I'm thinking to myself, well, a way for me that I receive love is you taking care of me.
Sure.
And knowing that you're a partner in this relationship.
Right. Like that we do things as a a couple.
Right. And I'm
make
not the
decisions as a
only
couple.
one, right, taking care of everything.
Exactly.
I can't take care of everything.
It's like very Dutch. Like it's like you go 50-50
Right,
on everything.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like that's how I want my relationship to be too.
Right.
It's like I want to be able to say, when we go out, you pay for the movie, I pay for the popcorn.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
split finances.
everything.
We split duties.
Responsibilities.
Right.
You know, I completely agree with that.
Absolutely. So that about wraps it up. I feel like things are really heating up on both episodes.
Same.
I'm super
excited.
Yeah.
I'm really
as
excited to see what
always.
happens with Brittany and Yazan.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of really quick announcements. We have an Instagram, so come check us out. It's Trash Pandas Detroit. We also have a Gmail. It's trashpandasdetroit@gmail.com. And we have a Patreon as well. So, you know, I don't know, if you have a reason to give us some money, we'll take it. It's also Trash Pandas Detroit.
And I think we're gonna we talked about possibly making additional content for just people that want to do the Patreon page.
Yes. So there will
We
be a
would like to do
benefit to
that.
having doing Patreon. Then we will do something for you guys, like extra content, or
different shows,
exactly,
extra stuff.
And we want to hear from you and know exactly what it is that
Yes.
you guys are watching and what you guys are interested in hearing about. We love a wide variety of different types of shows. So
Absolutely.
if there's even a movie or an album or anything, a comic book, we don't care what it is.
We haven't watched Beyonce Black is King yet.
Send it to us. We want to watch it. We want to hear it. We want to know it, and we want to talk about it.
Yes, anything pop culture, we are gonna consume.
We're down,
and we love it. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.